Hi everyone, hope you're well. Today's tutorial is a brown smoky eye. It's a classic. It'll never go out of fashion and it doesn't have to be complicated. Here's how to do it. So I'm going to start with some of my favourite products at the moment. So some of my favourite palettes for doing these soft brown smoky eyes. First one would be the Natural Nude, and I like this one because it has a combination of matte, shimmer and a little bit of glitter as well, so you can really play with the textures even though the shades are quite similar. All of them are quite browny or pinky browny. You get to layer the different textures. One that I haven't tried before but I've just found it and thought this looks really good is the Sigma one, and this one has a really nice selection of quite warm browns and more reddish browns as well. So I think that one's definitely worth trying. Likewise, actually this one, Fiery, which is also by Sigma. Another shade that I've taken out of my Pro Kit, but actually it's a shade that I really like using on myself. I just like it because it's such a good kind of mid-tone for me personally. And then another palette that I like to use on myself is this one, which is palette 01, which is by Lancôme. And again, you've got some really good mid-tone brown. So I think really just choose the colours that are going to suit your skin tone and are ones which are easy to blend. I mean, I know that sounds like obvious, but a good quality, nice quality eyeshadow these days, they're so good and they should be pretty easy to blend. So to start with, I'm going to use this shade. So it's like a mid-tone brown. It's not as dark as I'm going to go and it's not too light. It will just give that first wash of colour. And I'm going to use a brush like this, so not a very small one, something which enables me just to start. It's like a base really. Sometimes I use a cream to use this, like a MAC paint pot or something. Not only does that give a good base because it's the eyeshadow can stick to it, but it's also really good as a base colour. You just want a colour that you're able to then blend all the other colours into. And that really shouldn't take longer than that. So that was Cocoa from the Too Faced palette. So next I'm going to go in with a darker brown. I think I'm going to use this one from the Lancôme palette because it's kind of an ashy brown, so it's not too red. And I'm going to start to build up. Firstly at the outer edge, just to create a little bit more shape. And then I'm going to go into the socket. I do like to keep my eyes wide open while I'm doing this, because you can see then how your eye looks when it's open. If you do it all with your eyes closed, you'll find that when you open your eyes, you can't see anything usually. And then I'm going to use another mid-tone colour. This is the Surratt one. Just to start to blend that in. So I've gone back to my bigger brush. And I'm going to use lots of circular strokes for this, because I want it to be really soft there. Just blending. I use a really light touch actually when I'm blending things out. Hardly feels like sort of touching the skin really. A bit more intensity there at the outer edge. A little bit more onto the lash line as well. And you can start to see the shape coming in. Again, just go back in with your mid-tone shade, lots of circles, and blend. A bit more in the outer corner, quite dark now here, and a little bit more up onto the socket line. Just sketching a shape out really. So I'm trying to get it so that it's extending my eye shape. So rather than dragging it down, just be careful that when you go into the socket line, you don't follow the socket because it tends to go down at the outer edge. So as you get to the outer edge, you're almost just buffing up on towards the brow bone there, just to give a little bit of a lift to the eye. So next I'm going to use a pencil. You could use a dark chocolate brown or a black. I'm actually going to use a black. And just work into the lash roots. Almost massaging them into those spaces between the lashes. I'm really going to go along the sort of outer half really of the eye, and then in the center, really, really thin there. Next I'm going to use a small pointy brush like this, and again using the darkest brown, I'm going to smoke that line all the way across. Then underneath, while I've got this on my brush still, I'm going to start to just smoke up under there. Don't worry if this is, even if it looks messy at the moment, it's absolutely fine. I'm going to have to do my base, my concealer, everything anyway. And then at that outer edge there, quite nice again, just to put your pencil quite smudgy. Whether it be brown or black, and just have a little bit more of a smoke all the way along. And then when you get to the very corner, you can just go top, bottom, and then just smudge the top, smudge the bottom, smudge it all together, and that will just finish off that corner. Just going to go back in with the medium tone just across the whole lid. Just tapping it. Now I'm just adding a little bit of shine to the center of the eye. Sometimes I find with like really smoky looks, just putting some light reflection through the center of the eye really lifts the whole thing. This shade it's kind of almost a taupey, pinky, lavendery shade, but it just gives that modernity really to an otherwise quite matte and smoky eye. So I've curled my eyelashes, and now I'm just going to apply some black mascara. I'm going to start with just a light layer of it because I'm going to put some false lashes on. So before I finish the eyes, I'm going to crack on with base. Just going to remove everything that's dropped down, so quite a bit of shadow there. Drop down underneath. I'm going to use a little bit of the Cosmetic Immunity Luminous Moisturizer. This is more of a gel, so quite good for combination skin. And then onto base, I'm using a Makeup Forever HD. This is a base that I really like to use for red carpet. So when I'm doing a brown smoky eye like this, for someone that's going to be photographed a lot by the paps, I really like this foundation. Just going to build up slowly, so mainly I start around the center of my face. So next I'm using concealer, and this is so important when you've done a smoky eye, because if you leave yourself quite dark underneath, there's sort of no end to the smokiness. You just end up with this giant kind of dark area, and it just takes all of the polish and the beauty away from the smoky eye. So it's really important to lift underneath, so you have a kind of cut-off point in a way, if that makes sense, for the smoky eye. Otherwise it's just never ending. I'm particularly, I guess, blue in the inner corner there. I'm not particularly dark underneath, but I'm using quite a yellow based concealer because it will lift the blueness and just bring some clarity to that area, so that all of the focus can be on the smoky eye and the shape that I'm trying to achieve. So just going in with a small brush on any little blemishes or marks. Then I'm just going to go over with powder. Around the centre of my face and any concealing. So I'm just keeping it a really thin layer of powder, just so the skin looks really seamless. Okay, next I am going to put on a few fake lashes. I'm just going to use individuals, so just to give myself a little bit more density in the lash department. So let me just get those. So I've just put some individual lashes on, and this is optional. You don't need to put fake lashes on when you're doing a smoky eye. I just feel that I wanted a little bit more lash, really. I didn't film it because I do have a tutorial showing how to apply fake lashes, and these individuals in particular, so I'll link to that below. So on to brows, and I always feel with brows and a smoky eye, you want them as light as possible. What I mean is that you don't want to like darken your natural brow hair beyond what it is already, so I wouldn't go really dark and thick personally here, and I wouldn't on my clients either, unless they are naturally like that, because I just feel like it just starts to compete with the smoky eye. So just filling in any gaps that you have, or giving a little bit more shape, but keeping them as natural as possible. This way it really helps the smoky eye to kind of be the star of the show, which is what we want. So I'm just lengthening my brow there at the end, and then in this inner corner I'm going to add a little bit. I feel like I've lost some hairs there. What's happened? Looks like I've singed my eyebrows. I'm trying to think how I could have done that. Oh, that's very odd. Maybe when I've been cooking or something. I haven't realised. Strange. Anyway, nothing an eyebrow pencil can't fix. It was so interesting in my documentary series making the 1920s eyebrow pencils. It made me realise how lucky we are. They were just so difficult to use. And if you haven't seen the documentary yet, it's available on iPlayer, so if you're in the UK, you can watch all 3 episodes now. And I am told that after it's been on the iPlayer for about a month, then it will be on more international platforms. So stay tuned. I will notify all of my mailing list people. So sign up to my mailing list on my site, and I'll let you guys all know when and where you can watch. And then just give lots of brushes through, because this really helps pencil to look natural. Keep brushing. So now I'm just adding a touch of blush, a little bit of cream blush, just to put some life back into the skin, because I'm going to use some bronzer next, and I don't want everything to be one colour, which is quite a good tip. So I'm going to try this bronzer, which is a matte bronzer by Sleek. Just adding a little bit of colour around the sides of my face. I wouldn't say contouring, but just adding a little bit of shape. A little tiny bit on my neck. Don't think I'm going to do too much more than that, but what I am going to finish off with is this Guerlain powder highlighter, which I really like for giving a touch of colour, a little bit of shimmer. Also going to just brush that over the smoky eye. Almost just finishes off those edges. So onto my lips, and I'm going to do a glossy lip this time. So I'm going to use a pencil first. And then just blend that in. I've got an exciting lip gloss to share with you. So for the gloss, I'm going to use Gloss Embrace, which are coming back in a couple of weeks. And this is one of the new shades, which is Affair. So if any of you loved the velvet lipstick in Affair, then now there's a gloss version. So this is a nice caramelly shade. So nice to have this shade now available as a lip gloss. And to all of you that requested it, it's coming. So that's the finished look. Brown smoky eye. It's never going to go out of fashion. It is something that you can just pull out anytime. I think it looks good for a special occasion. It kind of works during the day because you can do a softer version, you don't have to go as deep. You can not do the lashes. Or you can make it more intense. Like if you put dark black or chocolate brown even inside the inner waterline, if that suits you, then you can do that, or add more sparkle, so you can put more of the sort of shine on the top lid. You can put a little shine in the inner corner. You can kind of dress it up as well. And I think it just takes a little bit of practice. It's mainly just about blending really. So I hope this was useful, and I'll see you soon.